which is like why I don't really want to shut down, because it's like I'll have to break my knees in again, break my shoulder in again, and like keep going. It's just harder to stop.
That's a good point. Well, this is too good a conversation to not start. Or did we start?
Yeah, we like to do a soft intro.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like the credits afterwards.
Yeah. Welcome. I don't know if you guys remember. So you have both been on the podcast before in San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
Of 2018.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah. I think
on
2018.
site?
You guys are in a booth.
Yeah.
I actually remember that.
Yeah, it was on site.
I wouldn't have remembered
And
that.
then that was the year that we road tripped to Bear Valley.
Yep.
After I lost in the qualifier. And then we scooped up Delaney, hijacked her, and went on the
first date with your now baby mama?
wife.
No way.
Yeah. So that was a big weekend in San
guys.
Francisco.
Oh, that is awesome.
So we basically helped that whole thing happen.
Yeah. Rafi Paulus claims 99% credit for my marriage because me and Delaney met in Austin at an AVP, and I was playing with Rafi, and his girlfriend was playing with Delaney. And me and Rafi made my first main draw. And so they were just sort of stuck hanging out with us the rest of the weekend. So he was like, if I didn't side out, you wouldn't be married. You're welcome.
And I was there.
So Rafi gets credit. You all get the assist.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to the pod. Welcome to the studio that's not in San Francisco.
Yeah, this is epic.
A little bit of an upgrade.
Nice work.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's good to see that it's still
I
going.
supervised.
You know?
Yeah.
Had a
To
little credit.
all of our surprise, I think.
No, not at all.
I don't think when we started it, I don't think we had any plans of this going on for 7 years.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's
Fine.
No, it was just like, let's just do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we are.
If you had said like this is gonna be a 10+ year project
No.
going in, you probably would have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's quite a commitment.
But if you just like jump in
until I start playing again.
Yeah.
I think that was my commitment.
Yeah.
But then it just kept going and kept getting. I think the funnier part was when he started playing again, where he was known for being a player, but it was like, oh, dude, try, like, I love your podcast.
Yeah,
For sure. Like, oh, not me as a player.
Now people say, oh, I love your book. I'm like, I don't know if I can take full credit.
Or like when you're commentating,
Yeah.
like, hey, I love you on the mic.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
did you know?
I was almost offended, when I first started hearing it. Now I'm like, okay, I'm a multi-talented person. I'll take it as that. But honestly, it's like almost 50-50 now. Like even overseas, people are like talking about the podcast.
Yeah, that's cool.
Still not sure if that's a good thing or not. But like, is it because I'm losing so much more now that now you guys are only interested in me and because of the podcast? I don't know.
Yeah. So we're trying to break into the indoor world a little bit. So appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah, seriously.
Because we just had Eric on and we were talking about just the crazy demands of that schedule, of the indoor schedule. So you're kind of in, I guess, explain to the listeners and viewers, like where we're at right now in your schedule this summer.
Yeah. I mean, this part of the year is obviously a very stressful time because we're trying to make the roster for the Paris Olympics, but it's also an in-between time. So I just finished 7 months with my club team in just outside of Venice, Imoco Volley. And then I had 1 week off and
They won everything, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to throw that in. You got your hype. That's why you brought your hype.
Yeah.
Full-time volley husband and hype man.
Hell yeah.
You're very good at that. Yeah, we had a great season. It was very successful, but I had 1 week off between seasons and then started with the national team. But right now I'm having a little bit of just shoulder things going on, like overuse basically. So I have a little bit of rest and then I'll start with the team next Friday going to Japan for VNL.
Okay.
So it's kind of I feel like nobody really knows our schedule because every time I'm playing for something new. I'm like, it's like the Italian Cup or Champions League final or the Super Final and now VNL and then the Olympics. And so I feel like the indoor schedule is very hard to keep track of because we're always competing for something. But Volleyball Nations League VNL is our pre-Olympic tournament. And it's kind of like a prep. It also is really important because it provides the seedings going into the Olympics.
Okay.
And this time around, this Olympics will be crazy. Like the way they've seeded or are going to do the seedings and how they've done the qualifications are totally different than years past. And it's a true ranking, which hasn't always been the case. Usually it's like 2 teams from every continent, basically. And then this time around, it's 1 through 10 in the world rankings.
I love that.
And that means there's probably like, I don't know off the top of my head, but like probably 5 European teams, which are really strong, a few Asian teams. Obviously, our region is strong. So it's going to be very gnarly. And you're only guaranteed 2 games, which is different than in the past too. So, yeah.
So what is the Olympic format?
So it's 3 pools of 4.
Okay.
And you'll have like world ranking 1, 2, and 3. And then 4, 5, and 6 will be drawn out of a hat to fill those spots, basically.
Oh, wow.
So in, let's say, the first world ranking will go to France, actually. So it'll all be pushed back.
Okay.
So let's say the second round, you could pull out 6, and then that would be in that first slot. Or, I mean, you could very much get like a very stacked pool of like the world's best teams. And for example, some teams aren't sending their best teams to VNL and probably tanking the rankings because they're already qualified. So so they could be like in the 10, 11, and 12.
Oh, that'd be bad. Yeah.
So a pool, a pool could be like very, very difficult. And the bottom line in any tournament is you have to beat every team. So
that's fair.
I don't really get too wrapped up in that, but what I'm excited for is for volleyball fans, because they're going to get to see the highest level of volleyball. When in indoor volleyball, that tournament is typically world championships. And so this is, I think, really exciting for a lot of teams because a lot of European teams never got to compete in the Olympics. So yeah.
I love that they changed it to that, because I think with beach, I think you're kind of casual beach fan thinks that the Olympics is the greatest, most difficult tournament ever, but World Championships is 10 times harder.
It's the same for indoor.
Okay.
Like Americans only turn their eyes to the Olympics.
Right.
So everybody is like, oh my gosh, you're an Olympian, or those kind of things. And which is also very exciting for sure. But I think in the volleyball community, like when we won World Championships and you go overseas, people are like, what an amazing accomplishment.
Right.
Congratulations. Like you have that honor for like years. Like you're the world champions.
Yeah.
And then the Olympics is kind of like, well, not all our European teams got to compete in that. So, which I get it. They're a very strong part of volleyball. So yeah.
That's cool that it changed to having just a straight up top 10. Do you know how that change came about? Because it's not like in beach, I understand why that there's a country quota in the Olympics because you're trying to make it inclusive, but in indoor, you don't necessarily, like, you're not going to have 2 teams from Brazil compete in the Olympic Games in indoors. Do you know how that change happened?
I don't know. I would assume it's FIVB. Maybe they fought for that to happen. There's still, France will be in it, and then 1 African team will get to represent.
Okay.
So, but I have no idea when or why, but I'm excited.
Well, who are the best teams? I know United States obviously is very good. Turkey, are you guys like kind of 1-2 right now?
Turkey's number
There's like
1.
6 teams that can win it.
Okay.
That's the other thing about it is, for me, in the last 11 years I've been playing professionally, this level of volleyball is the highest I've ever been a part of. I don't know if you can back me on
100%.
that statement. It's
100%.
a bold statement, I would say. But to me, it's just become so physical. And it's mirroring a lot of the men's game. You just have these players who can just detonate balls. And it's really, really exciting to watch, in my opinion. So yeah, now there's a lot of teams that can have a realistic chance of winning a gold medal. But I would say Turkey, Brazil, China, Japan, Italy, Serbia, Poland, us, Brazil.
Jeez.
Like I'm not kidding. Like anything can happen, and every team is strong.
That's awesome.
And a lot of different styles too.
Yeah.
Like Italy, Serbia, Turkey are kind of oppo heavy. Japan's just like ball control heavy. We're like just like a system team, good at everything.
I would say
good middles,
like North and
good
South
outsides.
America has similar volleyball. Like
Yeah,
everywhere from
yeah.
like Canada, Brazil, United States, we play like a mixture of that, like
Well-rounded.
power, speed,
Mm.
well-rounded play. Europe is very opposite heavy, I think, what you said, but China's really good.
Not really like by choice. They just have gnarly opposites.
Yeah.
Right.
They set them 50, 60 balls a match because they're so gnarly.
Kind of
It's
play
like-
to your personnel there.
Yeah.
For sure. That makes sense.
And it's not like the rest of their team isn't good. It's just these girls are really good.
They have a lot of IQ, I would say, because the girls play at a young age, like professionally. They just go straight to pro. And
Yeah.
so I think what makes Europe strong is that they have a lot of women who play from an early age and just know the game really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does our NCAA system sort of mold talent as because it's what it's doing for the beach is crazy.
Yeah.
It's just pumping out the best players in the world, and a lot of other countries are benefiting from that. Like Latvia's best players played at NCAA beach. A lot of Canadians. Is it doing that the same indoors too, or do you think we could use a similar academy style that Europe has?
There's good and bad to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good is there's tons of opportunity to play, and it's a really high level.
Mhm.
Like I was at Tampa last year for the Final Four, and they're playing at a really high level. The bad side is there's kind of an unlimited amount of subs, so which there isn't in the international game or the pro game. So there's a lot of outsides who don't play back row.
Okay.
There's opposites who don't go all the way around and hit D balls or hit out of the back row.
The ball.
The ball's different, so when you switch to the Mikasa, that thing floats all of a sudden.
It's really difficult to pass. I would
Yeah.
say it takes outside hitters like 2 to 3 years to
Wow.
get
Yeah,
like at the level they need to be in passing.
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, there are a lot of big hitters. I feel like we year in and year out we see a lot of big hitters come out of college for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're not playing all the way around and you don't develop every single skill, it'll just take you a lot longer to adapt to the pro game. But I think the one thing is that like Americans in the long run become really talented professionally.
Mhm.
It just takes like that initial 2 to 3 years to get to the speed of the game, to the physicality, to the like IQ. But I feel like that's probably in any sport.
Yeah, I would think so. How long do you think it took you to make that adjustment? Because I feel like you kind of came out and you were winning like best spiker, best outside hitter awards, like pretty much as soon as you started out.
I look back and think like, why? I just really attribute my career to just really being lucky. Like I work really hard and I know that about myself, but sometimes it's truly just somebody who sees what you could be and chooses you. And I think I owe
You're good. You're good.
I owe a lot of that to Karch because he did that for me. And yeah, I think I went to China my first season out of college. So that was very much like a whirlwind. Like I had to figure out at 22 what professional volleyball was living alone in China. And I didn't have like in China, sometimes you can kind of like work your contract. Like I'll only work this many hours a day and I need X, Y, and Z to be comfortable and just really make it a beautiful experience. And it really is. But my first year, I didn't have any of that. So I was training.
We know it can get rough out there.
Yeah, I was training
There's
like
not
8
Panda
hours
Express
a day.
on every corner.
Well, that's actually funny because my teammates were like, "What's your favorite Chinese food?" And I was like, "Orange chicken." They're like,
yeah.
"We don't have that
Yeah,
here."
exactly.
But yeah, I was training like 8 hours a day, and actually, I kind of attribute my like learning curve to that because I was getting like rep after rep after rep, like thousands of
8
reps.
hours a day?
And like sleeping at the sports school in
Holy
between for
cow.
like 2 hours, eating
Oh,
every meal at the
God.
sports school.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
The food part.
Such a grind. But it's a short season.
Yeah. I mean, you're done in it. I was done in the middle of January, but I think because I didn't understand what professional volleyball was, I had no idea. So for me, it was like, I guess this is what it is.
Right.
Like I was very
Set the
much like,
standard.
okay, like this is how we do it. And I'm just going to show up and work hard. And then I went to Italy and I was like, oh,
A little better lifestyle here.
Yeah. Kind of had it backwards, but
Yeah.
and then I actually went back to China, so it wasn't really that bad,
Right.
honestly.
Yeah, because you did China and you did Cuba, was it Cuba? No, Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico, yeah.
Oh, you did Puerto Rico. Nice.
And-
I did for like a short season after China.
What team out there?
Ponce.
Oh, me too.
Oh,
No way.
I loved Ponce.
Leones, right?
I loved
Yeah.
it.
That
You
was
guys
my-
would have
that
just
was
missed
my
each
jam.
other, though, right?
I was 2012.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I was
14, 15.
Yeah,
Four-
it was a decent amount before.
2015.
Yeah, that was my jam. I was like, I'll just keep going back to Puerto Rico. This is great.
It was
Surf during the
so
day, play at
great.
night.
Yeah.
Easy.
My coach was like, the only rule I have is just please don't show up to practice with sand on your feet. I was like,
Interesting. I've had coaches tell me that as well. Yeah,
Puerto Rico's great.
it's not the same experience as the China experience. At least
Yeah.
for me, it was like, guys, you mind if we like practice today? Maybe. I was like, you kind of just want to like pass some balls. You're like, all right, fine, we'll show up. Not exactly 8 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think every part of my career has been a very different experience, but has like shaped me as a player in different ways. Like I've always taken something from every league that
For
I've played
sure.
in. And I know a lot of people like to stay at a club, and there's definitely benefits to that. Like
Right.
I've stayed at clubs for like max 2 years.
Mhm.
But yeah, I really loved getting to experience the world and different cultures and different styles of play and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that just having an open mindset to everything has helped me.
Yeah, there's a big difference too in like visiting somewhere and living there for 9 months or 2 years. Like you really understand the culture and the people and all that. Even 3 months is like just on the cusp of like really understanding that. I think I never really got. I had played in Turkey for 3 months, I think, but it was like you guys out there for 9 months for 10 years now is just like that's a experience that you can't replicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, it's like you get culture shock coming home sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we have like that, like so everything's just like so easy here. Like delivery this, delivery that.
Right.
Like
The convenience of
The-
everything.
The morning
that we
coffees. That's what I miss. Every time
Yeah.
I come
Oh,
back,
yeah.
I'm like, why can't we just kind of like
little 1 year
chill on a
espresso.
street corner with this little, like, you're so content with just this little table on the street corner and just having your coffee.
And
Out
you,
here is
sip
like,
it
eh,
so
it just
slow. and it's
doesn't
like
feel the
this big.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Just
get this
really milking it.
huge iced coffee to go, and then it's like,
Yeah. Let's go. We got to
Yeah.
go do something.
Days on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
Game
Greece
on.
was the best. You'd get like a iced Freddo espresso or Freddo cappuccino,
Mhm.
drink it through a straw for like 4 hours at the cafe. One coffee, 4 hours.
Dude, yeah.
The first day I got there, they invited me to the cafe, and I was like, yeah, I'll come have a coffee.
Mhm.
We get our coffees. I take out the straw and just like start drinking it. And they all looked at me like, what in the hell are you doing, dude?
He's chugging it. Look at this guy.
I finished it in like 20 minutes, and I thought I was drinking it slow.
Right.
They took like one sip. They're on their third cigarette.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, what are we doing? Like, are we going somewhere else? They're like, dude, get another coffee and we'll teach you how to drink.
Yeah. Exactly.
By the end of it, I was on the
100%.
same page. Just like,
Exactly.
hey, roll me a cigarette.
exactly.
I got nothing
Like-
else to do, man.
Like I literally have nothing to do. I have to get into smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Every once in a while in Turkey, I was the same way, and it was snowing. So literally, it's like practice, and then we all go in our snow gear to the coffee shop, and it was the same thing. I'm just like, God, I'm so bored. Like we're sitting here so long,
Yeah.
and they're all just outside. Like three times they go outside. I'm like, I'm at least gonna come outside. I was like, all right, let me try one of these. Like, all right, I get it. Oh,
How long
man.
did you play overseas, Bri?
I played 1 year in Greece and 2 years in Italy. And we
Okay.
met in Italy.
I was going to ask
Oh.
that, how you guys met.
Yeah. So I played in Greece for Panathinaikos. Had a great time. I would have played there forever if they
Yeah.
had money. But they had absolutely no money. They have money now. but-
Wild fan base, huh?
Oh my God.
Like world famous.
yeah, if you play for one of the top 4 clubs there,
because they have a soccer club connected
Yeah.
to it, right?
yeah, it's like
Like
nowhere
like
else in the
flares
world.
in the stands in the indoor volleyball game kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Really?
Like
and we
soccer
weren't
fans.
supposed to be good. They were in the relegation match the year before. And the first meeting of the year, they were like, our goal this year is 10th, which is 1 away from relegation. 11 and 12 play to see who goes down. I was like, dude, what did I get myself into? Like, I'm not on a team that's getting 10th.
Right.
We end up making a run. Like, we're like top 4 in the league, go to the semis against PAOK, the Thessaloniki team up in the north, and had a 5-match playoff series where it was just like full stadiums, 9,000 people, flares. They're throwing like M80s on the court. We had to evacuate. It was an experience. We ended up losing to PAOK, I think 3-1, and it was just so much fun.
Is that team green?
We were the green team. PAOK was black. Black and white.
I watched because my buddy Juan Figueroa, Puerto Rican guy, played for Olympiacos, and I visited him. And I think the game that I watched was against
that's the biggest rivalry.
Yeah, and it was insane. Like people were like spitting and getting nuts. And I was sitting with his wife, and the kid was probably 2 at the time, and we're like, holy shit, like what the fuck?
And they're all smoking inside.
Yeah.
By the third set, all the players are high because they're smoking cigarettes and weed.
You don't want to be sitting in the nosebleeds because you're just in there. You're just
wild.
in the cloud.
There's a cloud over the court. It's an experience. It was a lot of fun.
It was cool, yeah. A little sketchy, but fun, yeah.
Yeah, and then I played in Padova in Italy, which is like 30 minutes west of Venice, and her team, she was playing for Conegliano Imoco, the team that she just played for, which is like 30 minutes north of Venice.
Okay.
And we had a mutual friend come in town, all met up in Venice and met each other and kind of just started making the drive back and forth. And then the next year I played in Modena, which is one of the best clubs in Italy. And it was a great experience, but it just was like, I was so injured. We had a weird kind of team dynamic. Everyone was kind of not vibing with the coach. And then I ended up leaving in like February. My body completely broke down.
Yeah.
I had a hernia. Like it was just like my whole body was like, you need to stop.
What is your list of injuries? I remember, I think the first time I actually saw you were walking down the Strand and you were like holding a walker.
Yeah.
And Taylor Crabb was like, dude, that's the guy. If
surgery.
He's healthy. He was like, that's my guy.
Yeah.
I was like, he can't walk, Ted.
The big one's the knee. Knee and hip. So like my hip was always bad, and that made my knee just kind of like track poorly. Like I had no hip mobility because I had a hip injury when I was like 12 and never got it looked at or anything. I was just like, felt better after 2 months. So just kept going.
We're fine.
Had like zero mobility. So my knee started kind of grinding down the cartilage. And when I was 17, I started noticing that my knee like just would give out on me because I like wore down a hole in the cartilage. Kind of grinded through that my whole career. And it was just constantly getting worse and worse and worse. And then finally when I stopped, they were like, your femur's dying underneath where your cartilage should be. Like you need to do something. So I like saw tons of knee doctors, ended up doing this huge surgery where they took some cartilage out, grew it in a lab to the size that I needed and put it back in. It was like a 16-month recovery.
Medical science is insane.
The most painful recovery of all time. And then it was like marginally better, like maybe 10% better, still super painful.
Damn.
Tried to make a comeback playing beach, but the instability of the sand was actually worse for my knee than indoor.
Okay.
So that just like was just super painful. Ended up tearing out that cartilage they put in. So I had to have another surgery to just remove that and go back to where I was. So now I'm there. And I just like, it's just pain.
And
like, I can't jump.
And now you're the world MVP practice player.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. At least.
Yeah.
I honestly could get a contract.
I'm a pretty good woman's opposite.
Your
dude.
team.
Pretty good woman's
I'm not gonna
opposite.
lie. I mean, look how well the team did.
Honestly, it made a huge difference. Like it was just so good to see like what was going to be coming at us every day. But for me, like it being my last year, it was like very cute to have my husband in practice, and like I'd be on the B side sometimes and like look over and he'd be passing next to me, and it was like, what's happening?
Yeah, that's
here?
pretty cool.
It was so fun, dude.
Yeah, that's sick.
It was so much fun. Like high level women's volleyball. Like if I could play that forever, I would.
How's passing, by the way?
Well, they were kind of instructed not to serve me, but they would every now and then. Not the float servers, but they had some like jump servers and hybrid servers that like get a little squirrely with it. And you're just fighting those off.
I feel like
that's
the float
so low.
serves on the girls' net would be the worst.
But they didn't float serve me
Oh,
because
gotcha.
they have more control over those. But the hybrid has like barely any spin. They had a couple hybrid servers that were like just bombing these hybrids, and it's just like, okay, I'll get it straight up in the air.
Yeah, jeez.
That's, I think, the best thing I ever did for my ball control was I trained with women 1 day a week all last year. And you go from a women's net to a men's net, and it's just slow motion.
Yeah.
How you guys pass as well as you do on a women's net, it blows my mind.
I guess I've never even thought about it. We do play Bogger sometimes against the men's indoor team, and we'll raise the net, and that's like a trip.
What do you play?
Like Bogger ball.
What's that? I never.
It's
I'm
like
brand new.
it's like a
I'm
warm-up
brand new to
game.
indoor. Okay.
It's like tennis with 2 people or 3 people on the court. You have
Got
2
it.
balls, and you just like go back and forth. But we'll like challenge them every year, and we always have to like mix the rules. So when we play on the men's net, I'll like shove a free ball over, and it just goes to the bottom of the net.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
It's honestly the best part of indoor practice. It's so fun. It's so much fun to play.
Might have to take that to the beach.
Yeah. I mean, it would be
2
like
ball
balls.
practice.
It's like ball.
Okay.
2 ball
Like
practice.
if you just get out there
Balls
and
with
play
2
ball.
balls.
Well, yeah. There's a million different bagger games.
Okay.
They only kind of played one. My teams, we always played a new one every day.
Okay.
And they only play the game the day before game day.
Yeah, we didn't get to play that
And I'm
much.
like, how do
Okay.
you guys even do this? Like, it was like bagger, and then the rest of practice, you just kind of coast. Bagger was the most competitive part of any practice by far.
I remember that just with deep court alone, because there's no block. And
Yeah.
You just like rip it as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah, those games are so fun.
Yeah. Anything with 2 balls, though, I'm gone. Travis knows. But there's a ball.
You just see them short circuit.
Yeah. They throw in like math equations and stuff. I'm like, dude. I actually did a PT session recently where he's like, all right, count down from 100 by 7. So I was like, oh shit.
Like 7?
Yeah, there was like a few numbers I got. So I was like, oh fuck, I don't know. Like, and while I was doing like an exercise or something, I was
my
like getting
goodness.
stuck. I was like, oh no, I'm embarrassed. Like
I'm like 93.
multitasking.
Yeah,
dude.
okay.
Math's not good.
I'd be good
Just
after
trying to get in my
93.
head and-
Yeah, 93 I
Yeah.
nailed.
Yeah. Nice.
And I was like, oh crap. I thought I'd get a little further than this. Yeah, multitasking, not so good.
But I think the fact that you made it to Italy, even to meet Brian, speaks to how competitive you are and how driven you are. Because I think a lot of players, they would go to China, get 8-hour practice days, fresh out of college, like you're kind of not in Kansas anymore type deal. And a lot of players are like, all right, I'm going to go play beach. That sounds way better. And that's how a lot of players ended up on the beach. What made you want to double down on that lifestyle? Because it doesn't sound like an easy entry level job.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is growing up for me, obviously social media of like Instagram and whatever wasn't really a thing. And
Mhm.
so I never really thought of being a professional volleyball player. That was never in like my mind. And so I was always kind of just taking it like day by day. Like
Mhm.
all of a sudden I was at Nebraska and Coach Cook was like, you can be a professional volleyball player. And then I got a contract, and then I went to the USA gym, and then I made all the rosters for world championships. And I had to like scramble and find a contract for that season because I was really not planning to keep going. And that's actually how I ended up in China, because it was like the only offer in July.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think I just came from a very rigorous, like childhood as far as sports go. I played at a club that was very militaristic and demanding in a lot of ways. And I think people have their opinions on that for children. But like for me, it was always a choice, and my parents never forced it upon me. And I always wanted to be there. Like I have been a gym rat since I was a little kid, and I was there from like 3 to 11 and waking up at like 5 a.m. to go to the tournaments on weekends. And I don't know, I think in like the very beginning of my career, professionally and stuff, I think I wasn't able to separate that volleyball was very much my identity. And that's where I like knew who I was. And it wasn't until like later that I worked on separating that. But I think that like passion and like work ethic really have carried me a long way for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you grew up outside Chicago?
Yep.
Okay.
Just outside of Chicago.
And now, I mean, like Big Ten country, everyone knows. Well, now Big Ten country is the whole country.
Yeah.
We're Big Ten country
The Big
now. It's
Ten country.
ridiculous.
It's like the big 60 now.
But the original Big Ten country now is like such a big volleyball spot. Was it that big when you were growing up too?
I think that the Big Ten was pretty big. I ended up going to the University of Tennessee. It's actually funny because it came down to the University of Nebraska and Tennessee between my final decision. And I chose Tennessee because I was really excited about the idea of being a part of building a program and taking it to their first SEC championship or deep in the tournament or whatever. Like I just I could see myself like helping shape the program. And it was really important to me to play as a freshman. I didn't know if I would have that opportunity at Nebraska just because I wasn't like a big recruit. Like I kind of came on the scene late because I played basketball and I wasn't really like sought after in a lot of ways. I mean, I had great opportunities, but it wasn't like she's going to be everything, you know what I mean? And so I think I just really wanted that chance to play and develop and like work hard. And some things ended up happening at Tennessee that were unfortunate, but I really loved the school. I loved my experience there. I loved the people, but ultimately ended up transferring and going to Nebraska. So it's kind of like full circle, very strange.
Kind of get the best of both worlds a little bit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's so bizarre now because like transferring is just like left and right. Like everybody's transferring. It's so normal, so common. But for me, it was very taboo. Like people did not transfer when I transferred. And I actually was like set to go on like basically like a trial to like fight for my transfer because they denied it. And then like it ended up working out and I was able to. But yeah, it was a very difficult time, especially as like a 21-year-old. Like you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah. And what a small world too, because you played for John, right? Then you ended up marrying his nephew.
Yeah.
We didn't like realize that until like a few weeks in because he never talked about having a nephew. And I was like,
thanks a lot. Huh?
And also like if someone stays at Nebraska for 4 years, I usually know their name because like I'll watch the big games and stuff like that.
Right.
But because she was there for 1 year and I don't know, it just like fell through the cracks. I just didn't even know she played at Nebraska.
So like you were in college at the same time. So like why you wouldn't even be paying attention for sure. So yeah, it was very strange because his dad called him and left a voicemail and I was just like hanging out and he played on speaker and I was like, why is Coach Cook calling you? And he was like, oh, that's my uncle. I was like,
that's so funny.
But my dad and him sound identical.
Yeah.
They're like
we might have to
the same
rethink
guy.
some things here.
That was funny.
That's hilarious. But
that was like 3 weeks into dating.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. I didn't even know.
It's like too far in.
The small volleyball world.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, do you miss playing? Well, I guess you still get your taste of playing. You're a women's national team player.
Yeah, no, I miss it so much. Crowd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss all of it. Like the grind, the locker room, just like, I mean, even going to PT for an hour after practice, like I miss all of it.
Yeah.
It took so long for me to get over not playing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when I did my surgeries, I wasn't hanging it up. It was like, all right, I'm going to do all this and try to play again. And then I started playing and I was still in a ton of pain. And I was like, still hanging on. And like, it took years to finally be like, look in the mirror and be like, dude, there's no path to playing with no pain. Just stop.
Yeah.
It took so long to get to that point.
How hard was that to just accept it? Because if it's a pain tolerance thing, someone as competitive as you, I could see you just saying, I can just play through pain. It's fine. But at some point it becomes not worth it. Yeah.
And I always had pain, like different pain I can deal with.
Right.
But when you're missing cartilage and your bone hits bone, there's actually no going through that. Like it gives out. So like I'll be going to jump and I'll just like sink. And like if it happens. Yeah. And then once it happens once, it gets super inflamed and it starts happening more. So like I could string together one day where like manage the inflammation and have moderate pain, but like it's fine. Then the next day it's swollen. The next day it's more swollen. It's like just spirals.
Yeah.
So like if it was tendonitis or even like if my quad was torn or something like that, like I would grind through it. But if it like when bone hits bone, there's really no grinding through that. It sucks. It's the worst.
What is like in hindsight, now that you've gone through that period, I feel like I can kind of relate just in that I had to like contemplate whether or not I was going to be able to come back and whatnot. But like now that you're a few years into it and you've had to probably do the same thing of separating your identity from volleyball, like what's kind of the lessons that you've learned in hindsight now?
Well, it really helped to get fully away from it for a while. You know, I was still following her career, but like I didn't watch any men's indoor. I watched a lot of beach because I love beach volleyball. I never really had the same like full just like burning passion for indoor. I loved playing and like it's a great path and a guaranteed paycheck and like super fun still. But I always knew at some point I wanted to come back and play beach. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, the first men's indoor match I've watched since I stopped playing was Champions League final this year because we were there for her and they played before.
Oh, nice.
And it was so fun to watch. I didn't know any of the players except for like, there was like 6 of them that were older and I had played against, but the rest of them I hadn't watched. And I was like, dude, these guys are gnarly. And I was watching it like, how did I ever play at that level? It doesn't even add up.
Yeah.
It's such a gnarly
I think the same thing when I go indoors. Like it's like watching the NBA to me. You know? I'm like, oh, these guys are nuts. I'm like, oh, actually, I probably could have played at that level. Like, you know, like I guess I'm doing the equivalent.
Yeah.
But the same thing. I look at them, I'm just like, this is freakish. And even on the girls' side now, you're like, like you're saying, the angles that they're hitting, the speed of the game is like, I must have been out of all indoor for a long time because it's completely different now than when I first left.
The speed of the men's indoor game is alarming.
Yeah.
Watching how fast that ball moves. I told Eric, it's like, how any of you liberos get one dig, it's like an act of God.
Yeah.
It's
wild.
really fun to watch. I don't know. I think like the level on both sides is just like increased, and I feel like volleyball's having its moment for sure, especially in America. And so hopefully it'll be really cool for the audience here to see what that level really looks like.
Yeah.
How cool was it for you to see that 92,000 spectator at the Nebraska, and of all matches too, it was Nebraska versus like a D2
Omaha?
It was Omaha.
Omaha.
Yeah.
But so cool.
That was insane.
Yeah, it was cool because it was being talked about in Europe, and everybody in Europe for the last year has been talking about the leagues that are happening here and just like really excited for the opportunities. But it's interesting because like in Europe, volleyball is like the 3rd biggest sport next to football or soccer and basketball. And so like you play in front of like sold out crowds a lot. Like my home gym is sold out like almost every match.
So cool.
And like it's just really important there. And so it's cool to play in an environment where volleyball is like really appreciated. So I just hope that we can have that as well.
I feel like there's been this swell coming, and I think it's coming in. How do we do when we host the VNL? We had it in Anaheim last year, and then now it's in Arlington.
Yeah, I think on the weekdays that's always going to be a hard draw to like fill a stands, but weekends have been really good. We had, was it Turkey 2 years ago? We had like friendlies against Turkey in Long Beach. Oh yeah. 2 years ago, and it was like USA Volleyball kind of took like a gamble to host it because financially there were just some things that it was a little bit like, okay, we're gonna do this, and sold out every ticket, like standing room only. It was amazing,
and so many Turkish fans too. That's one of the cool things about when the national teams play in America, like. The men played against Iran, I think.
I went to that in Anaheim, right?
That was wild.
Yeah, it was all Iran fans.
It was like an Iran home game. Yeah. And then Poland in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was a Poland home game. It was like, wow.
Just went nuts.
This is
Chicago
wild.
is like so cool. The largest Polish population outside of Poland or something like that. I don't know the stat, so you're going to have to look that up.
I know it's big in Serbians are really big in Chicago. So if we were to play Serbia for whatever reason in Chicago, it would be a madhouse.
Yeah. And I mean, when they played Poland, it was like only Polish fans.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That just shows you how like diehard fans are for this sport internationally, right?
Yeah. Like how big the sport actually is.
When they come to America, like they all came to America for a reason, but they're diehard for their country, and they get a chance to support it, and they all show up and get tickets before us. Our own fans.
And hopefully these new leagues can build that on the American side.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on it being multiple leagues at once? That's the one thing that I'm like, why do we have 3?
And can we just get a quick explainer of all the leagues? Because there's the Pro Volleyball Federation, whose season is about to end or just ended?
It just ended.
Just ended.
Yeah.
Then we got LOVB, which debuts in 25
this winter.
January.
and then Athletes Unlimited, which is like a
It's
sprint.
6.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a completely different format.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Athletes
a
Unlimited
fantasy.
is 6 weeks, and you're playing individually. Like you're playing for your own stats, basically. And then each week you play on a different team, and you have like a captain who kind of like draws, or I don't actually know specifics, but like picks their team, and based on your stats, like you move up in the ranking, move down, and then at the end, like the number 1 ranked gets like
It's like human fantasy volleyball.
yeah,
it
sort
is.
of.
It's
Yeah,
like
basically.
it's like a league built from a fantasy perspective, kind of,
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
in a way.
And then PVF is obviously it's like kind of normal team volleyball.
Mhm.
I think the difference is so PVF is each team is more autonomous. It's similar to Europe, but kind of has a like American football mentality
Okay.
with the players, I would
Okay.
say. Like I think in their contracts, like you can get cut at any moment or replace, or you'll also have to quote me on that.
Traded and all that.
I don't know the
interesting.
specifics on that
Mhm.
because I just don't know.
Yeah.
But so I'm a founding athlete for Love, and basically the model is that they buy up club teams, and so there's Love Club and then there's Love Pro, and
Got it.
so each like pro team is basically supported by these club teams.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a grassroots mentality. And so there's all these communities that are really invested in their club team. And so basically, like, we'll be connected to the club, and I'll be training next to all the girls in Love Atlanta, and it's at A5 in Georgia. So
Okay.
it's really cool because it creates this kind of circular community where you have these young girls who look up to the pro girls, and then hopefully in years to come they'll filter into that pro team. And I think it's really exciting. I hope it succeeds. I believe that it's going to succeed based on the model, but
Is
I
that
guess
what
only time will tell.
the pro the model is in Europe? I know they have feeder clubs and systems and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah, they do. Like Imoko has a youth,
Right.
and that brings in a lot of money for them. But for the most part, I have a president, a GM,
Yeah,
1,000 sponsors.
yeah, a million
Right,
sponsors
right.
who pay my salary,
Oh, for sure.
and yeah. Kind
But
of
like,
things
if you're a
that.
youth coming up through that club, you're not like getting fed into that. Like you're not belonging to that team
So in
right?
Turkey,
necessarily.
yes, in Turkey, the
Okay.
youth are like owned
Right.
by until they're about 24, I think, by
The club
the
that
club,
raised
and they
them,
can
that kind
like
of thing.
lend them out, kind of.
Whoa.
I think
That's terrible.
That actually happens in Italy too.
It sounds like soccer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
A lot.
very similar to
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I don't know how much it happens in Italy, but they definitely do own it.
Mhm.
I just know
hate it
that
when I say
one
that.
Libero.
Like,
I
own
know.
a few players.
If people didn't know we're talking about sports, this would sound terrible.
Yeah.
Then they lend the kids out. Sometimes they own them, but they'll lend them out every once in a while.
But I think it's like amazing if you're a kid growing up in the Imoko system and you're like, I want to play for that team one day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For sure.
It's cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and Love is building the system so that they hope that the players never leave, basically. So like once they're done playing, there's a place for them to go where they
Whoa.
can like work or help them at least find where they want to go upon retirement. And
Yeah.
I think that's been like the model that why I've believed in it, because it's about the athlete. It's
Right.
not just like you're here to perform for us. You're a part of our community, a part of our company, and we want to support you too.
Right. Whereas in all the other contracts you've ever taken, it's like the second your contract's up.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And that's like what's interesting about taking contracts and like being in that world is like they are good to you until they don't want you, at
Mm.
least like what I've seen. And so you can feel super loyal to a team, and then the minute they don't want you, it's like you're chopped liver, basically.
Yeah, it
And
can
so
be
it's a very cutthroat,
Yeah.
scary world to to play and to live in, to like base your
sure.
life on,
Yeah.
for sure.
100%.
And so how many so it's love, not love B. I've heard it pronounced a
it's
couple
love
different
B.
ways. Okay.
Love. I
Lovable.
I think they just call it love.
I kind of like
Okay.
slur the B and love.
I'll take
Love.
I just say LOVB.
I also do.
League One.
Or I usually say
Wait.
League One.
Wait, why is there a B?
League One volleyball.
Volleyball. Got it.
LOVB.
Oh, VB.
Yeah.
Sorry. Was that slow that I didn't get that?
Because I've heard it
little bit.
pronounced
Love.
multiple ways.
Love B.
And so I
What?
didn't, if you're a founding member, then you get to decide how it's pronounced.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut this because I don't pronounce it right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Love.
Love.
But how many
Love.
It's a soft B.
Love.
I'm glad you're home, Brian. The world's better with Brian Cook in it. So how many different teams are there?
In the first year, there's 6. So
Okay.
you have Atlanta, Houston, Salt Lake, Dallas, Omaha, and Madison.
Okay.
Not Dallas, Austin.
Austin.
Got it.
This guy's
got this.
on it.
He's on it.
You got this.
Very early morning.
And what, because I feel like we've seen indoor leagues tried in the US and they don't generally last very long. How can we get a US league to compete with Europe? Because as far as sporting countries go, I mean, the United States is, we're a sports mad country, but volleyball has always sort of lagged a little bit behind. And I feel like it's on its way up. But how can we get to that level of Europe where we can get a lot of the American talent like you to stay home?
Well, I think the number one thing is money.
Yeah.
If you want the best players, you have to pay them.
Mhm.
And that's like really difficult. But I think the number 2 thing is quality of life and like taking care of the player and getting, like, for me, the biggest thing I want to see happen is more and more athletes to be able to become moms and have a family and then still continue their sport.
Okay.
And I feel like providing that opportunity is also going to like create a space for more and more athletes to come home and not feel that they have to just retire
Right.
and this part of their life is over. For me, that's kind of always been like my dream, is to like be able to do both, but just never had the moment to stop because
Right.
of our schedules.
Right.
But I think when they initially contacted me to just like hear them out, I was like, no, because I've heard it all before.
Right,
and
right.
I was like, it won't happen. Also, I love my life in Europe.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to do, like, I don't want to hear it, whatever. And they were like, just hear us out. So I was like, okay, I'll take the call. And I got off the call and I like went to him and I was like, I actually think this could work. And it's because of the model, like, because they are taking care of the things that they have to do and setting those up before they even launch pro.
Right.
So they've put in years and years. Like, I've been
Yeah.
on calls with them for 4 years
Mhm.
and didn't become a founding athlete until 2 years ago. So it's just been in the works for a long time. Like, people are hearing about it now, but they've really done everything right, like in the right order, to make sure this thing lasts at least 5 years.
Okay.
And then we see where to go from there.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
just feel like they're in really capable hands.
Yeah.
The roundup of the clubs. I mean, these clubs are so profitable. Like, there's so much money in youth club volleyball, and they're kind of putting them all under one umbrella, really optimizing things, making them even more profitable. And that money's being used to kind of start this pro league and have a
Mhm.
backbone for, like she said, at least 5 years. And then, I mean, with the surge of women's sports right now, like, just like, it feels like it's got to happen.
Good timing.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just feels like the time.
And I feel like it's so important to have, because you mentioned how huge the grassroots level is and the youth level. It's important to have professionals for them to like a professional place to aspire to. Because growing up, I mean, did you ever watch women's professional volleyball? Because at the top was probably NCAA, I would guess.
Yeah, I really only watch the Olympics every 4 years. And to be honest, I like actually loved watching beach volleyball more. And the only thing that like really stuck out to me was like Misty and Carrie.
Mhm.
And so when I got to Nebraska, I still wasn't in that mindset of like, I'm going to be a pro. I was thinking like, I want to go play beach. And I actually met Misty on the beach, like
Very
during
cool.
a tournament, because she was coaching at Long Beach, maybe.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I was like, hey, what do you think I should do? And she was like, stay in indoor, like make money, and then go play beach. Like the beach will always be there. And so that's what I did. But it was like full circle a little bit, like growing up watching her and then getting to talk to her and then helping her like guide that part of my career as well.
Yeah. And there was no Volleyball World TV. So it was like, I mean, I was the same boat. I watched the Olympics every 4 years, but other than that, I didn't know where these guys were playing. I couldn't watch the Italian league. I couldn't watch the Greek league. I was like,
like you didn't even know that you could make money doing it.
Yeah.
Like I had absolutely no idea. Like what
it wasn't until probably my senior year where I was like, oh wait, like I can continue playing indoor volleyball and go make money overseas. Like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Then I got my first paycheck and I felt bad. Like, dude, I'm playing like I've just been doing this for free my whole life. I love doing it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just living in Athens, like, and you're paying me in cash. Like, this is super cool. But
a little bit sketchy. That it's in cash.
Right.
I actually
Like, why
felt
is it
bad
in
taking
cash?
money.
That's
so bizarre.
Mine was cash too, for sure. Super sketchy.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's so hard to follow because you have the Champions League and this league and the Super League and then the Super Duper ×2 league. And it's like, where do we watch it? How can we follow? And I even commentated the Italian league for a year and I had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, as long as I know the players, but I don't know what's on the line because they're like, well, this gets you into this cup and that gets you into that cup and this is Champions League. And I'm like,
and there's like golden
just tell me how to
sets
pronounce this
and-
guy's name, man.
Wait, what did your dad
the
say?
funniest part. So like they're in all these competitions at once and they all kind of stack towards the end of the year. So you've got like Italian Cup and you're playing Champions League from like probably like November all the way through the end of the year. It's the last competition. And then there's also Italian League finals going on. So the way that Champions League works is it's one home, one away. And if you tie in sets at the end, so like if you win 3-1 at home and then lose 3-1 on the road, you play a golden set to 15 to see who advances.
Mm-hmm.
So
But if you win or lose in 5 and then you like win in 3 or 4 in the away game, like the game's over.
yeah. So like winning
Going
in 3
to 5
or 4,
in the first like basically doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like nobody is like, oh, it's a wash.
Yeah.
it's points based.
That's
So like
wild.
winning in 3 or 4 is 2 points. Winning in 5 is 1
It's
point.
very
Okay.
chaotic.
Losing in general is 0 points.
Okay.
So like the team with the more points at the end advances. So they're playing in the first match of Italian League semifinal. And I got a text from my stepdad, my dad, and her mom, like, how many sets do we need to win tonight to advance? I was like, we need to win 3 matches in this series to advance. Like, it's a whole new format. It was classic.
What is it about volleyball that we
think-
make it as hard as possible?
Yeah,
to
I
follow?
seriously think it's
God dang.
the number one thing that holds our sport back is just it not being clear, like what it is and how it works. And then it's not unified. Like that's the one thing that when I see, I'm fully on board, like love coming in. I've talked to some people within it and I'm on board. Then I'm like, why is there 3 leagues? Why do we have to do this to ourselves?
Yeah.
And confuse fans more. Like, well, but I just watched this other league and I'm over it. I can't figure it out. Same thing in beach. Same thing when trying to follow overseas. The national teams, like, I don't know what you're playing for. I know you're playing for something special, but then there's like Champions League and there's this and that. It has to exist. And I don't think it's going to change, but like, if you can make it seem unified to a fan and easy to follow, like I barely have time to watch NBA playoffs and I want to watch it, but I know when it's being played. I know what the format is. I know the players. So I just go at that time and I watch it. I make time for it. But like, if it's confusing, I'm out. I don't got time for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest, like my dad gets frustrated. He hates following. He's like, this sport, like he wants to be a fan so bad. He wants to follow it and just like, where do I got to go now? And what's going on? And who's playing for what? And the points are what?
Yeah.
Now we got to have this chess point system over here. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
But-
hopefully it settles into like Italy has A1, A2, like every country,
Mhm.
like basketball's got NBA, G League. Hopefully it settles into that type of situation. So
Yeah.
like, okay, this is the highest level. This is
Yeah.
the second league.
Right.
This is the third league, whatever. Hopefully it all settles into that, and it'd be even better, in my opinion, if it was all under the same umbrella
Yeah.
and with that format.
Mhm.
So you can kind of work your way up and
And
all
maybe
that
they will
stuff.
unify. I mean, we're starting from scratch in the US. So like that's
Yeah.
the best opportunity to do it
I
right.
mean, it was just like I don't even think it was just like timing. They all kind of saw the same writing on the wall that like
Right.
women's sports are finally here in America. Like, and
Some
volleyball is
serious
the
and-
biggest youth sport in America
Right.
now.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
insane.
Well, I think AU is bigger than just volleyball. They have basketball, they have
yeah.
I think softball. And so I think AU, if you can kind of think of it as like a separate entity in a
Mhm.
way, because it's just totally different, like
Right.
6 weeks tournament style. And then, yeah, we hope the leagues like ultimately would be like one big league for more opportunity
Yeah.
for people to play. And if they obviously combine like more money for the players, which is always great.
Mhm.
But I think if you think about like football, they started off with 2 leagues and
yeah.
eventually
Yeah,
merged. So
Exactly.
I don't know. I try not to get caught up in the fact that there's 2 leagues, just because I do think in a way it benefits the players, not only to have more opportunity for players,
True.
but also like you're fighting for your players to come to your league. And so how are you going to entice them? So I do think like from a player's point of view, you can push for things for sure.
Right. Competition
Yeah.
definitely raises the quality.
Yeah.
And some good investors have come along, right? Like people who
So many, yeah.
who
It's
know
really cool.
sports and like they're seeing the writing on the wall here as well and wanting to get involved, which
And love
is a good sign.
What, Joe Burrow and
Yeah,
Kevin
that was
Durant?
PVF.
PVF. Okay. Because I remember some
Was
big
Kevin
names.
Durant PVF too? Or just,
Kevin Durant is love.
yeah, there's huge
And
names
and
on
are they
all
buying?
sides.
Yeah,
They're buying
it's
into
wild.
teams, like into the ownership.
Love Pro.
Love Pro.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
So-
their ultimate goal is they want to start all unified, 6 teams, kind of go to 8, 10,
Mm-hmm.
build the league out, and then think about kind of making them franchises.
Ownership. Yeah. Kind of AVP's kind of thinking
Yeah.
in that way as well. They're not gonna franchise cities out
Yeah.
yet.
There's another new
Run-
format for us.
Yeah, right.
Why
Yeah,
not?
exactly. Just to confuse
Yeah.
pretty much everyone. Like people ask me, I'm like, it's just I don't know, just watch my Instagram, I'll tell you when I play kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't want to explain it. Also, I don't really understand it either.
Yeah.
That's like how I explain it.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, all right, we're officially doing something wrong when I don't even know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. I think we're just, that plane's being built in the air. And because
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
for
think
sure, for
the
sure.
players would know more if there was more to know by this point, I think.
Right.
So I think that's like, shoot first, let's aim later, see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the ownership switched like 7-8 months ago, 6
Yeah.
months ago.
Yeah, and they never really even said anything
Yeah.
about Bally's now being a minority owner. It's just like, all right, we have new people coming in. This is what's happening. We're like, sure.
Here we go. Again.
Yeah, here we go again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Reload it.
Yeah.
What other top players have signed with Love?
I mean, a lot of the national team.
Awesome. That's
yeah.
great.
We have like a big portion of the national team. all
And the
behind it.
international
Really
players
cool.
are really good too.
Yeah, we have a lot of really good experienced international players.
Is there a limit on international?
No.
Oh,
I love
so the
it.
league's fully open.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned earlier that a lot of international players, like they're playing for that lifestyle, right? And a lot of people in the world just want to live in the US.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a lot of intrigue there, I would think, right? If
Yeah.
the money goes, this league goes.
Yeah, for
Basically,
real.
right?
Yeah.
I would think.
yeah.
If
Like-
they can start competing with the Turkish banks who have an unlimited budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
or
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I think most of the best players in the world are looking to play at the highest level and then B, like financially. So
Mhm.
if you have all the top players coming here, like the top players will come. So I know a lot of my teammates are very curious. Like they're very interested, very open, and they just kind of want to see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then hopefully in like 3-4 years come to America.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are having to somewhat just invest yourselves in building the league, right? Being the first players. Are they able to somewhat match your guys' contracts to any extent of what you guys are getting overseas? I know it varies based on player and all that, but or is
Yeah.
it like a fairly decent hit?
I mean, it's good. It's not the same level as overseas.
Right.
There is definitely a bit of,
You have to
Coming
meet,
home.
meet in between kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Got it.
and then also when you play overseas, it's always you sign a contract net of taxes and you get a foreign tax credit when you come home.
That's kind of the
So
kicker.
this one will get taxed
Ooh.
pretty heavy.
So it'll matter what city you play for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time. So a
So
lot
you
of
wanna
the
play in
Italians,
Florida.
the Italians are all trying to play in Texas.
Texas, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I
yeah.
think depending on like level, there's matching for sure going on.
Yeah,
And then like at the highest, like the people at the highest level obviously have to take a
Yeah,
cut
yeah.
for sure.
Right.
But there's other trade-offs. Like for me, the idea of starting a family and
Yes.
like being able to come back and play is a trade-off that's you can't put money on
Right,
that.
100%.
And also we're investors and the opportunity for sponsorships. Like
Mhm.
before, you don't really, a lot of like partners and things like that don't really want you go overseas for 8 months. So they're like, what are you going to do with
Mhm.
our product and things? So the
Yeah.
opportunity to be home and to go to events and like run camps, whatever it may
Yep.
be, like there's just other opportunities that aren't like upfront.
Yeah,
if that makes
100%. And the amount that you're going to learn building a league, being an investors in the league, playing in it, being the face of it, that's kind of priceless as well in the long run. I think that
Yeah.
knowledge is going to take you really far because you've had that experience overseas. Like in terms of what you're going to learn, you're always going to grow and keep pushing yourself, blah, 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 all that. But a completely different experience that's like probably invigorating in terms of like the new challenge and like having to grow in different ways and learn new things.
Yeah.
That's how I would see it, as like super valuable. And
Yeah.
like the money, you can't put a price on that
There's a lot of opportunity.
for sure.
And
It's-
we'll be an hour and a half drive from her parents.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
is like
That's fun.
huge instead of
Hell
a
yeah.
20-hour travel day for them.
Yeah.
Once a year,
Yeah.
twice a year.
Yeah,
We'll be able to see them all the time and
It's been cool
easier
to
for my parents to come out, stuff like that.
for sure.
It'll be nice to be in America.
Oh,
yeah.
He's very excited. If you can't tell.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Um,
golf in Georgia.
Yes, there is.
There you go.
It's been cool to be a founding athlete and help like shape the league in ways that, like maybe we never had overseas
Mhm.
and have that say. And so to be able to like give back to like the women in this sport and then to create an environment that's super healthy and like exciting for younger women in the sport that are going to
Mhm.
grow up and hopefully like enter into the league. I feel like that's what I'm most proud of for sure.
Yeah, that seems like to be one of the biggest things that stands out about this league is the individuals that they picked, like you and Carly and the whole crew. And then, like you said earlier, the people who are starting it really understand like that you guys understand the value to women and to the youth, and they're putting the values of the league. They're building it with those values in mind, like genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of teams and leagues will say it, but like I've said, I've know some of the people involved, and it's like, wow, this is like being done genuinely.
Yeah, it is.
Getting
very
you
genuine.
and like Carly and like you guys aren't gonna do this if people are BSing you. I know that, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that makes it like I think this actually might work because it's like there's like really good values behind it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like one thing to just get national team players' opinions, but a lot of the times, like I've been super fortunate to play for clubs that pay me on time and treat me really well, but that's not always like the experience that players have. And so to get like the founding athletes are a mixture of
Mhm.
like levels, experiences, and to get everybody's opinion. And I think that's what really matters is having everybody's like view on what needs to happen in this league.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of
That's cool.
a pattern for you too, because you went to Tennessee because you wanted to help build a program.
Mhm.
Now you're going to Love because you want to help build a bigger program. It's cool to see. I feel like that's just like your competitive drive and showing itself in a different way. Like let's build something awesome.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is like connection to
Mhm.
people. And I feel like that's kind of what drives me is like wanting to make things better and like be connected to other individuals. And even with the national team, like my evolution on the team, like starting really young and then getting into a leadership role. And it's always about making it better. And I have a lot of opinions. So it's kind of my downfall.
Well, what's you mentioned at the very beginning that it's like now it's kind of a pretty intense time because I mean, when do you guys make the roster selection? Because the men
I think next
finished a
week.
couple weeks ago.
I
Okay,
think it's Monday.
I don't know the specifics.
Oh.
okay, but sometime soon. As a leader on the team, how do you help keep the vibe sort of, team friendly? Because on the one hand, you all are on the same team in an iron sharpens iron type deal. At the end of the day, you got 30 girls in the gym going for 12 spots.
Yeah.
That's got to be so difficult.
The environment that we live in is very difficult. It's like the basic way to say it. But yeah, you're competing against a spot for a spot with some of your best friends. And I don't know, in like 11 years, I've just seen so much heartbreak. And some days are good, some days are bad. There's years where you want to quit and you're asking yourself, like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep showing up? But what I've learned is you have to understand why you're doing it. And it might be different from person to person to person, but like, why am I stepping foot in this gym? Why am I competing? Like, why am I choosing that? At the end of the day, it's one person's choice. Like, that's what team sports are. It's one coach who decides, like, either you're on this team or you're not. But like, what makes me know, like, if I know that I might have my heart broken, but I'm okay with that because I'm going to show up for me and I'm going to compete hard with passion, with joy. Like, those are the things that like fill me up. And I'm okay that it one day might like break me. But I don't know. I think that's something I try to like instill in other people, is that like you just have to do it for you. And I know that might seem like selfish in a team sport, but ultimately like you showing up at your fullest self is going to infiltrate this team the best way.
Yeah. I've always thought that one of the best ways to be selfless in a sport and a team environment is to be selfish.
100%.
Because when Kobe got his points, when Kobe was at his best, the Lakers were pretty good. And same goes with MJ. And I think if you're passing your best and you're siding out your best, well, your team's going to be a whole lot better.
Yeah. And I think in team sports, it can be hard because you can get wrapped up in like, oh, we're not meeting the standard. We're not doing this well. This person didn't run that ball down. They're not giving effort. Why are we doing things like this? And like, the more you get caught up in that stuff, you can really spiral. And that just takes you out of your own performance. And so something I kind of like live by every day is that it starts with me, and not me saying like, hey, like, good, you need to do that. And that was good, whatever. But no, it starts with me. It starts with the way I show up, how hard I compete, like how hard I'm going for every single point, because eventually like people will get on my back and we'll go together. And that's just kind of how I approach every day.
It's very cool. And coming off a gold medal, are there any expectations that come with that? Because what a moment too. And congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, first gold medal in Federation's history. It's unbelievable. But does that come now with expectations, or is it because that was 3 years ago, I guess?
Yeah, I think I get asked that question a lot, actually. And I don't really feel any type of pressure or expectations, just because, every year it's a different team. And not only us, but the rest of the world. Like, every tournament looks different. There's new girls. Girls are getting better. Things just look different. And so each time you step on the court, it's a different equation to success. So I'm just excited to see mostly like what our highest potential looks like, because I'm not sure we've really gotten there quite yet, because the last 3 years we've been trying to find that. Like, we've been like mixing a lot and trying to find that and really like find our identity as a team. And I think what's interesting is the rest of the world has been playing a lot of the same people for a long time, and we know what they're capable of. Like, we know what Turkey's best looks like. It's very, very good, but we know that max, and we don't know what ours looks like yet. And I just think like that's what fires me up, is to find that.
Yeah. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited to be on the court again. I miss it for sure, but it's only been like 2 weeks. So.
And you get back on the court next week, 2 weeks.
I've been playing sixes now, but I'll be back with the team next week.
Okay. And that's in Japan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is
Week
that
3. Where
can we follow that?
So Volleyball TV has all of VNL and
Got it.
all of the Italian League, Big Ten. I don't know if they'll be allowed to do the Olympics.
No, I think NBC's got a
WNBC,
lock on that. Yeah.
But generally, like everything's on Volleyball TV, which that's like because they also have beach volleyball too.
It's
Not
one of the
AVP,
best thing that's
but-
happened. to
Beach volleyball
to
TV,
volleyball.
I
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Love
Really,
it.
like since before Volleyball TV, I never followed volleyball because I didn't know where to watch it.
Right.
And then Volleyball TV started getting all these games, and now I'm like obsessed with watching volleyball.
Right.
So hopefully they can just like keep acquiring more leagues, and it'll all just be in one place.
Yeah.
So people know where to go.
Unifying it, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. It's
I
been
know.
I was
huge.
just watching my buddies play in the Indian League. This is wild.
Rupee Prime,
It
baby.
was so cool. It was so cool.
Dude, anytime I see Cody Caldwell, I
Yeah.
just go Rupee Prime code.
D. Lee's over there
And D.
coaching.
Yeah.
Just living
I
his
feel
best
like he's
life.
been a part of that league
He's
forever.
like a star over there now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's so cool.
and he loves it. I love talking to David Lee. He's the coolest person I've ever met
He's
in my life.
awesome.
He goes out there. He's like, I never thought I'd like India, and then now it's like that's what he does with his life for 4 months out of the year.
Yeah, it's so
He's
cool.
so nice. My first Olympics, we walked in the opening ceremonies together. He was like, get by basketball and you'll get on TV. So we
Yeah.
slowly like shifted back, and our whole team, like I was with him and like 3 other girls, and our whole team was on Brazilian TV. And so like going to bed, I was like, man, I wasn't on TV. And then I woke up to like 100 messages. I was on the American broadcast. I was like,
Yeah. A good one.
thanks, Dealey.
Just talk to D. Lee. He knows all
Yeah.
the tricks.
Yeah.
Well, where can everyone follow you guys? Bri, where can people keep up with? We didn't even touch on what all the stuff you're doing.
I know.
If you want to just give like a briefer on that, we gotta have you on individually. We can just nerd out.
We can run it
Get
back
into
and
the
nerd
weeds.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do like a road to Paris.
get
or something
deep into
and
that. That'd
just
be
go
fun.
Deep on that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good idea. A little collab episode.
It'd be really fun.
Yeah, but basically, I'm doing chess ratings for beach volleyball. Just found like when I tried to dive into the beach scene, I just realized like, I mean, everyone's got their complaints with all the point systems, and tournaments, you get your points based on tournament finish, not who's in the tournament. It's kind of like prize pool and tournament finish. That's like all that's really factored in. And amount of teams, not quality of teams. So I still play a lot of chess, but I used to play a ton of chess thanks to Adam
Like,
Roberts.
A ton.
A-Rob got you into it too?
A-Rob
Man,
got me
you
cooked,
travel
dude.
with A-Rob and you're
Oh my
immediately
God.
like a 1200 rated chess player. 'Cause
Yeah.
you just play so much.
Yeah. Oh my God, I played so much. But then I was out in Japan. I was doing like an online MBA program and didn't really have much else going on. So it was like, and just playing chess. I was like, what? I'm so addicted to that little number next to my name.
Yep.
And I want to make that number go up. And I was like, this would work so well in beach volleyball. Not even like at the time I was like, I don't even care about seeding, anything else. It's just like, I want to know how good numerically each individual player is. So I started playing around with it. Now I'm like 2 years into it, and it's like kind of scary accurate. It's really good at predicting matches. And it's, we're kind of building it with Volleyball Life. Volleyball Life bought it, and I'm working for them now. But it's still
True Volley.
yeah.
Cool.
But it's always going to be independent. Anyone can contribute to it. Anyone can use seeding from it. But it's just like a kind of a different way to think about it. So every single match you play, your rating goes up or down based on who you play. So if you play someone way above your skill and you lose to them, your rating's not really going to change because you were expected to lose to them. If you beat that team, you're going to make a huge jump up because it's like, holy crap, you beat a team way higher than you. It's going to try to get you up there. It's going to knock them down a little. And when you do that over, there's 400,000 matches in the system now. When you do that over 400,000 matches, it starts getting people really dialed.
Yeah.
That's
Did you
over-
code that yourself?
I did. The first version, I found this Turkish kid on Reddit, and I paid him in Ethereum just to get it off the ground.
It's
'cause I didn't-
2024, baby.
Yeah. And because I didn't have, I have a little bit of a coding background, but I was like, I just need to get this off the ground and I'll learn as I go from there. And then he kind of built the first version, which was like probably like 50 lines of code. And then now it's huge and it's got a lot going on, but it's pretty cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So I always wondered how the rankings move differently if you're playing with the same person. Like how does your rank separate from your partner?
The only way your ranking separates is if you split up for a tournament. But over time, That happens a lot.
Right.
If you play it, like say you and Kame have been partners for a long time now, you guys are actually going to converge at some point and be the same rating. And that's just the way it goes. Like there's really no way to counteract that unless we got into specifics of who's actually contributing to every point, which I don't want to do.
No, that's a lot.
Yeah. But that's one of the things with the system being a 2v2 sport. Yeah. It's made for 1v1. I had to tailor it to 2v2. But it does work really well still. I mean, it predicts matches at 74.2% accuracy overall.
So for all you gamblers out there,
I was about to say, if we have Volleyball World just signed with 1xBet, you might have some messages coming in.
I know, right?
Put it behind a paywall now.
Yeah. And then, I mean, at the amateur level, it's even higher. It's like 79%. And then for college NCAA, it's like 81%. It's like, jeez, it has these girls dialed because they play so much in such a short span.
Right.
That it's just like it gets so much data fed to it, and the more data, the better.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you play 100 matches in this system, it's like it knows you.
Wild.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Sick.
So we're trying to build off of it. I really want to make it a platform for more than just ratings and seeding, but like statistics and cool stuff that beach players just don't have access to that the indoor world does.
Yeah.
First ball side out percentages, hitting percentages, useful stuff.
That's what so there's this Czech company doing beach data. Have you talked to them?
I think I reached out to them, but they're awesome.
It makes my life as a commentator 10,000 times better because I can look at it and I can break down a tournament, or I can go to a whole season. They're head to head and be like, well, Kristen sides out 45% against Anna Patricia and Duda, but 78% against Kelly and Sarah.
Yeah.
Like there's a story in that.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much better as a commentator, which hopefully comes across as a viewer.
Yeah. They send guys to every challenger and elite.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they do futures, but they've got a guy at every single match with the iPad.
They just added jump setting. They just added.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
cool.
Yes.
Ooh,
so you can look and see how effective jump sets are versus sets when you stay on the ground.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I think that's one of the biggest things in attracting fans is telling stories through statistics.
Yeah.
Even like our sport, we don't do verticals anymore. Like just showing how high a guy can reach standing is a big story that we're missing out on. Vertical leaps. Like you want to know if the guy can jump 6 inches higher, or he's the highest jumping guy in the whole league or whatever,
Yeah.
And I think we miss out on some of that, but
yeah,
it's coming up, right?
Yeah. And I'd really like to bring it to the amateur level too. Like you've got girls trying to get into college or guys trying to get onto the AVP. Like these statistics and like insights can be really useful, or just like even tracking your progress over time, seeing how much better you're getting, seeing what you need to work on, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot coming in beach volleyball for sure.
Yeah,
I love it.
We're a part of it. We're a small piece.
You know the path to my heart, man. Volleyball nerd.
Yeah.
Your family's tapping into indoor and beach.
Yeah,
helping it grow in both ways.
Yeah, it's fun to just
be
in volleyball all the time. We've got a call tomorrow with like over 100 NCAA coaches.
Sick.
So it's just fun.
And that's cool because you just built it.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I'm playing chess. Maybe we should do chess for volleyball. And here you are.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's just because I was so addicted to that little rating next
all the good stuff comes from like when you just make the stuff you love your job.
Yep.
That's when the good stuff happens.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Combine a passion and an addiction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See if anyone else might like this.
So that's True Volley, which is TRU.
TRUvolley.com.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. And we just, Chris Olds?
Gosh, the name's familiar.
Austin Beach guy. He's a good developer too. And so Volleyball Life's 4 guys: John Alvarez, Kevin McCullough, Chris Olds, and myself.
Okay.
John and Kevin are the developers. John built all of Volleyball Life himself. And not a lot of people know about it because they've never marketed, but
we had him on here.
It is a beast of a machine. There's so much going on in there. He's a wizard. But we just moved Chris into working on we're going to start building True Volley together. So there's going to be a lot of fun updates.
Sweet.
And make the site much more interactive. You'll be able to see your history over time, like kind of who you're better with as as a partnership, stuff like that. It'll be cool.
That's cool. I'm excited for you, man.
Yeah,
that's a fun little journey you're about to go on.
Fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I work like 7 days a week, but I love it.
Well, it's hard to say you work this. Like I run into the same problem. Delaney's like, "When's the last time you had a day off?" I'm like, "I don't know, the last 6 years, just playing."
Yeah,
it's like talking about volley. Like I hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
But where can people follow along you and your journey?
I mean, I'm on Instagram, krobin32, and TikTok, and then I have a YouTube, but that's really just for fun
and Grandstand.
Yeah, and Grandstand, which is actually really cool. It's kind of like a newer app. It's basically like OnlyFans for athletes, minus like the other stuff. But
the weird stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like for people who are like super fans of the individual athlete and like want to follow like the behind the scenes of like what my workout looks like.
Right.
There's
just
no
like,
nudes, no feet pics.
Yeah. Workout with clothes on.
Hubby's got to set that straight real quick.
But I think it's interesting because like Instagram, like, I don't know, you post and then you hope you get a partnership, but this is a really cool opportunity for fans to support your journey. And they like subscribe like $4 a month for everything. So it's pretty cool. It's fun because I like to just like do very behind the scenes stuff. Like my Instagram, because I love photography, is very curated, but really Grandstand, I'm like popping in what I'm doing right now. Like this is what it looks like. And this is my rehab today. And just truly like that behind the scenes of what it all goes into what I do.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. It's new. It's grandstand.io.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And actually, I think Eric is going to have a page too. So,
Eric Shoji?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, he does a great job on all the social
media. It would be
medias.
great for the beach people to get on that too.
I think it's really cool for beach. Like that was my initial.
I'm available.
Yeah.
I think they're looking for athletes. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get in there.
Let's go.
Sweet. Well, thanks for taking so much time on your very rare downtime. And good luck in Japan. Good luck in Paris. And see if we can get back-to-back golds. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
That'd be epic.
That'd be fun,
Hell yeah.
For sure. Come
Brad,
back
good to
here
have
and
you back home
celebrate.
too.
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
for having us.
Celebrate.
Yeah.
We'll have champagne ready in the studio.
I want
Actually, you don't have to win. Any excuse to have a party would be great.
That's it.
Thanks
Sweet.
for having us.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it. Shoots.
Shoots.
What time is it?